it on? Oh, it is on now. Excellent. Okay, so let's start this off with, so your car sounds an alarm when you drift out of a lane. Comfortable, not comfortable? Oh, many already do it. Is there anybody that says, I don't want my car to do that? That's distracting, annoying. Yeah, you're like, okay, you'd rather not have your car do it. I guess the issue is if you've bought a car this year, last year, maybe even the year before, particularly if it's a Toyota, Subaru, you have no choice. I mean, it's going to have that, and I guess you have to learn with it. But that's automation, right? We're here talking about different levels of automation, and we'll go to more of the extreme cases in a minute. Next case, now your car automatically hits the brake. I know everybody's here a perfect driver, but let's just say you got this important text message and you just couldn't wait. So, and all of a sudden a car stopped in front of you and the car hits the brakes for you. Everybody comfortable with that? You like that? Anybody that doesn't like it? Okay, why don't you like it? Right. Terry's car does that when she gets too close to the bike that's parked. Yeah, it hits the brake and won't let her drive. Yeah. Could be a problem. Anybody, there's some scientists here. I know we have a doctor of it. There's something called a false positive. A false positive hitting the brakes isn't good. And I happen to have a Tesla. Every once in a while it approaches a bridge and it must think it's a fire truck across the road. Slams on the brakes in the middle of the New York State Thruway. Not good, false positive. Doesn't happen often, but so that would be my caution. Automation's not perfect. Okay, so now we're on the New York State Thruway, I-86, a 4-lane divided highway. You hit the button and the car pretty much drives itself down the thruway. Comfortable? It's like half, not comfortable. Yeah, quite a few. Okay. Yeah, so that's one more level of automation. And now we're starting to get where it's some comfort, not some comfort. Okay, here we are. You're in the suburb of Phoenix. A lot of you live in Florida. You're in the suburb of Tampa, Miami, wherever. And now you hail a taxi on your Uber app or whatever the equivalent. It rolls up and there's no driver inside. Some little speaker says, welcome to self-driving land. Come on in. How many comfortable with that? Yeah, quite a few. So it is Chautauqua. It's not, it's like Wobegon, right? Everybody's above average, and so you are unusual. You ask that question to the average American public, the answer is 70%, no damn way am I ever. I take a poll among my relatives in rural Pennsylvania, no damn way, I'm never. But we'll get into that a bit. Is that even possible in the year 2022? So we will see that in a moment. To get just a little bit technical, the Society of Automotive Engineers have levels of automation. These first two are just level 1. It's pretty low level of automation. Requires a few sensors, but it's pretty much standard. Should that be a federal law, that those first two things have to be in your car? That it automatically hits the brakes? Yeah, some people say so. Yeah. Don't hold your breath. How long did it take for airbags to be mandated by the federal government? It took 20 years. Seatbelts, it took 20 years. Don't hold your breath, except the auto companies are doing it anyway, except for some strange reason GM isn't. I don't get it. You know, everybody else is doing it voluntarily, except for GM. That's driving down the thruway automatic. That's only level 2 automation. This last one, level 4. There's one more level. Robot will drive you on any road in any conditions to show I'm not a complete zealot about this stuff, I actually don't believe in level 5. I don't think any road, any condition is realistic, and I'm not even sure it's necessary to create a lot of public good. Alrighty, so quick video, just in 1 minute, just to give you, and this isn't Photoshop, this is really happening. Let's see how we go here with the, yeah, you're
And here it comes, our Waymo car with no driver.
Chandler, Arizona, suburb of Phoenix. It's a Chrysler
These are
Pacifica.
so
It's not
cool.
a fancy electric car, it's a gas car. I'm sure you can buy a
As you can see,
Pacifica.
absolutely no driver is in this car. Nobody is in this car. And here comes Mom and Dad.
It wasn't quite such a long lead into here, but my video editing skills aren't there. But we'll let the drama build.
Yep.
You know, Mom and Dad don't look like they work in the Silicon Valley for Elon Musk, but who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe that's where they're going, to go
Bye.
to a meeting with Elon.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got it on.
You can hold it, Mom and Dad.
Oh.
Take it from me.
Okay. All right, we'll see you
See you
there.
over there.
Yep.
So while we're waiting, I mean, who's Waymo? Is it like two guys that started a business in their garage, and that's their only vehicle? Any idea who Waymo is? It's actually a subsidiary of a company you may or may not have heard of. Any idea what company that's part of? It's part of Google, yeah. So to think that this just sort of happened as some hobbyist, Google spent hundreds of millions of dollars to make this happen. Okay, and they're off. No driver. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into safety in a minute, but to think that Google just did this as an experiment, no driver on board. They actually went through years where there was a driver in front just as a double safety steward, just in case something went wrong. Yes? Yeah, package delivery. So there's more of a level of comfort, right, where it's not humans involved, so sure. Yeah, there it is, right? Driving itself in the suburbs of Phoenix. There it goes. They're having a little chuckle in the back. And, you know, there are survey results that come out, and most people are actually surprised. It's sort of boring. It's having a great time. So, yeah, actually, this is the only one. It's all over the country. Let me advance here.
This is pretty wild. This is my
Another company that you may never have heard of, it's called General Motors.
Probably the most unique.
They're doing this in
Probably
downtown San
definitely the most
Francisco.
unique
Same
taxi
thing, the
ride
cars
I've ever
themselves
taken.
aren't
I am
fancy, but
driving
they're
around San
tricked out
Francisco
with
right
all
now.
sorts of automation.
In a cruise car.
And once again,
No one.
no
in the front.
driver. And San
Just me back
Francisco is
here.
a heck of a lot more challenging than
This is
Chandler,
just
Arizona.
volleyball.
Yes.
The last couple minutes of my ride here.
Thank you. I
Managed
will
to get the
repeat
car to
questions
take
and
us down
comments
East
from
Street.
the
We'll see if
audience.
we
Thank
get
you.
it.
And sorry if you're online
Been a
that I
while,
can't
but
engage in
driving around
chat.
like this for about
At this moment, we'll do it at
45
Q&A.
minutes now.
Right, so one more. There's
And no one's
challenging
noticed.
environment, pedestrians all over the place, and it's doing it. So, yeah, shocking, but it's here. Many Florida residents, I'm sure, we'll get into regulation a little bit, but actually, Florida is very open to this. Would you want this to be regulated? or just Wild West, these companies can do whatever they want. Well, I'm sorry, if you're in Florida, it is the Wild West. The only thing you have to do is get $1 million insurance policy, and you can build in your garage a self-driving car and go at it. So, my own view.
This is pretty wild. This is my car.
Let's make sure they're safe.
This is probably the most
Whoops.
unique.
Okay, let's get rid of that. So, let's see how we. Oh no! Oh no! AV, help, it's back. Okay, where are we back? Yeah. So here's the CEO of General Motors. There's going to be more change in transportation in the next 5 to 10 years. There's been in the last 50, I believe that. And there's 3 revolutions all going on at the same time. I used to teach this stuff starting 6 years ago. It wasn't clear electric was going to happen. I mean, Tesla was close to bankruptcy. They were down to Elon's last few $1 million. That one's on safe ground now. That's happening. This one, question mark. That's what we're here to discuss. This one's tough psychologically. Are you willing to get in cars with other people? If we're really going to make a change in the world, really combat climate change, we're going to have to be willing to do some of that shared bit. But all these are happening in some form. So just a bit of a history lesson, right? To say this can't happen. It's gonna take forever. I don't buy it. Let's just remember where we've been, right? There's Henry Ford's first car. Does anybody still drive their car with a rudder? I just found out this week, Packard Mansion over on that end of town, and there's another Packard Mansion the other brother owned over in Lakeview. Guess who invented the steering wheel? The Packard brothers. Just found that out, and they invented it for their motorboat. And yeah, so no brakes, rudder steering wheel, 2 speeds, 10 miles an hour, 20. So change can happen. We have to let our minds go free. Right, back then, get a horse, get that damn thing off the road. It'll never happen. Yeah, and just a reminder, here's Fifth Avenue in 1900. You can't see it. I can't see it from here, but there's one car on Fifth Avenue. 13 years later, all cars. So revolutions in transportation have happened before. So are we really in the midst of another one? Yeah, so we think of tech and it's guys in their garage. I mean, the big players in this space, and they've already put billions and billions into this, so they're serious. They think there's a market. And it's all people you've heard of. It's Google, GM, Ford, Amazon. Those are the players. And yeah, they have money, they have the desire, and we'll get into why's the desire. Yeah. Sure. Okay, so the question is, what about Tesla? So Elon Musk, love him or hate him, I give him all the credit in the world. He's the first guy that created a brand new automobile company in 100 years. Give him all the credit in the world for starting the electric. But the bad part of Elon Musk, he sells something called full self-drive, and it isn't. Remember we talked about the 5 levels of automation? It's level 2. It's not full self-drive. That's why it's not here. He's not there. These guys are incredibly serious about no driver. If I have full self-drive as a beta tester, and I can go 2 miles before I have to disengage the damn thing because I'm going to hit something. So yeah, he doesn't belong on this list. Yeah. Oh yeah, Chinese are, they're right there. Chinese are huge in electric vehicles, but they have, it's called Didi, and they have self-driving taxis tooling around Beijing and Shanghai. So yep, they're right there. Yeah, Chinese, yeah, they're in a lot of fields. That's another another debate or another talk for another day. The Chinese are going to pass this in many areas, unfortunately. All right, yes. Why do they have? Yeah, so they're retrofits. All of those, except for that thing, the Zooks, are start off as stock automobiles, and they get hot wired, right, with all sorts of new sensors. That little bubble on top of the Waymo is actually a laser that rotates around. It's actually 64 lasers that rotate around, and that's the main way it sees. And they all have those LiDAR bubbles on top, so that's a great sensor. But they leave the mirrors that are there because maybe there is a human safety steward that's there sometimes. I think the Zooks automobile does not have a side view mirrors. Right, so just quickly how this stuff works. So, you gotta think they're replicating humans. So, we gotta see if we're gonna drive. So we have a perception layer, and they have more sensors than we do. Again, this little bubble on top can see 360 degrees all the way around, can see better than we can. Somebody was asking about rain. How can they see in the rain? Lasers blast right through rain and snow, no problem. So they can actually see better than we can. Computers generally can think faster than we can, I think you realize. So the perception part, where you actually recognize an object, classify it. 15 years ago, computers couldn't be anywhere near humans, but then neural networks came along. We taught computers to work like our brains work, with neurons, and now robots are just as good as humans at recognizing images. The next one's the hard one. It's not just recognizes images, which are static, which are potentially dynamic. Is that a street post, or is that a child on a crosswalk? And our computer better darn well know the difference, or it's going to go bad very quickly. And so that's where a lot of the work comes in. It's actually the dynamics of the environment. And then the third is, once you know all that, what's my path? How much do I tweak the steering, the brakes, the acceleration? That's the last bit. But you spend enough billions of dollars, you can figure all that out. And they have. So here's the big question, right? If this is going to the moon just to plant the flag and we pat ourselves on the back, yeah, that's cool. I mean, this is cool stuff. But is there a societal benefit to actually do this? I would hope so. So here we are in those from Buffalo. This is Clarence, we'll call it. Is that, Judy, is that the highest income part of Buffalo? Clarence, maybe? Yeah, okay. Let's pretend this is Clarence. They already have the Land Rover, the Lamborghini. Is that a Lamborghini? I'm not up on my luxury cars. Is this why we should do it? So the poor things don't have to drive themselves to the country club. They can, If that's why we're doing it, I'm hanging it up, and I'm just going to go to lectures for the rest of my life. But I hope that's why we're not doing this. For the common person even, that automation's expensive. Just that little thing on top, spinning around, costs $40,000 or $50,000. So this isn't a middle class thing to make private automobiles robot driven. Here might be one reason we do this. Have you ever had to tell one of your parents, give me the keys, you're unsafe. You just can't do it anymore. Sorry, Mom, sorry, Dad. Yeah, I had to do that with my dad. Thank heavens he realized himself after he blacked out driving down the road that maybe it's time to hang up the car keys. Here's the demographic shift. You can't see it, but there's going to be 10 million females over 85 years old. In not too many years, there's already probably about half that number. 10 million males. So you add up everybody over 75, it's like 40 million people. And again, no offense here, but there comes a time where you might be better letting a robot drive you than trying it yourself. So societal reason number one, there's an odds that a computer can think faster than you can see better than you can. And so let it improve, right? I mean, these are early days. We're still Henry Ford in 1896. You know, give it 5 years, but this stuff's going to get really, really good. So be patient. Another reason, so actually City of Buffalo, UB is part of this team, University of Buffalo. We're bringing a few automated vehicles to downtown Buffalo. And one of the areas where these are coming is the Fruit Belt. East side of Buffalo, 47% of the households don't have cars. Why is that? They like to walk. They can't afford it. You know how much money it costs, particularly at $4.50 a gallon? So even if you buy an old junker for $2,000, what's the first thing that happens? The brakes go out, the transmission goes out. All your income's going to keeping a freaking car going. There's a bunch of people, it's hard for us to see it, that just can't afford cars. I hope it's for them. Yeah, so that's not a photo stocked image. I stood on that street corner. That's emotional to be there in the tops in the east side of Buffalo. I bring that up because that is a low-income area. It's the only grocery store within a 2 or 3 mile radius. Do you think all those people there should walk 2 or 3 miles to get to the grocery store? They can't afford a car. So what happens? You know, you get these networks that come up. This guy from the church will drive you to the grocery store. You know, for his good-hearted nature to drive people to the grocery store, he got himself killed. So, you know, the work we do from now on sort of dedicated to Haywood Patterson for driving people to the grocery store who didn't have cars. So I hope we're doing it for them. Why could this work? So let's take an Uber, you know, typical, you know, let's hope those drivers in major cities make $30 an hour. Otherwise, that's not a living wage. You know, they got to pay that much for a car. Gas is $4.50 these days. So that's $2.50. Just the cost is $2.50 a mile. And that's before Uber tacks on their profit on top. So we're talking $3.50, $4 a mile. So we're going to ask those people on the east side of Buffalo to spend $8 each way to get to the grocery store, $16 round trip. It doesn't work for low-income people. Probably doesn't work for the elderly either on Social Security fixed income. Let's put a robot in it. The labor goes away. We got to spend $50,000 on the automation kit. Do the math. Now we're down to 75 cents a mile. Okay, $2 a 2-mile trip, $1.50. Now it's bus fare, and it's door to door. Now that works for people without a car. It works for elderly at that price. And God forbid that we actually share a vehicle with somebody. We're down to 25 cents a mile. That's really affordable, high-quality transportation. Yeah, why don't we say, well, why don't they take a bus? Okay. Yeah, wait 2 hours. Maybe you're lucky that the bus is somewhere near your house. Yeah, this is high quality. It's what they deserve. All right. If it's not safe, it's game over. Talk's over if we can't do this stuff safe. But the bar is not a high bar. Human drivers, yeah, we kill 36,000 people a year just in the U.S. Terry's son was one of those 36,000 one year. The cost is immeasurable financially, but emotionally. And yeah, you're all great drivers, except when you're not. When you go to the restaurant, you have a couple of drinks. You're driving all the way from Virginia, and you get tired. And yeah, worst of all, these things, right? Not so much for our generation, but yeah, the kids can't go 10 seconds without checking their freaking TikTok videos. So we should be good drivers, we can be good drivers, but we're not. Look at how many people we kill. So there's a shot here, and that's why Waymo, this is their website. They say, yeah, we can do this, we can make it safer. And they didn't do this on a whim. They spent 20 million miles testing this on public roads before they launched it. They did 20 billion miles of simulation before they launched it, and tested lots of different cities, lots of different. So they take it seriously, but stuff happens. So early days, self-driving cars, you may have heard about it. So this is Uber. Yeah, of course, Uber has an interest in this because they can't get enough drivers. So they want robots to drive their cars, but maybe you've seen the Netflix shows on Uber. Yeah, they rush everything. They're anxious to get more money. So they started a self-driving program, and they killed somebody with their car 4 years ago now. Yeah. So Elaine Herzberg had a bike. She didn't cross at a crosswalk. She had groceries all over it, and that car we just saw killed Elaine Herzberg. And yeah, she didn't cross at a crosswalk. That car actually had a safety steward. But yeah, when that accident happened, the whole industry was totally set back, and all the news was game over, no more self-driving vehicles. The Uber stock value went down $40 billion overnight. And they dropped their self-driving program. Now, it turns out that the guy who was the safety steward was actually watching Netflix videos. So that's who was found at fault, the safety driver. But yeah, we can't let that happen. It's front page news whenever it happens. I mean, those 36,000 wrecks don't make front page news all the time unless there's a 30 vehicle pile up on I-90 somewhere. But yeah, if this goes bad, game over. And so far, it's other than 4 years ago, it's actually gone very well. California tracks what's called disengagements. So how often, if there is a safety driver, just the automation itself gets in a situation it can't figure out. Waymo is trained just to pull over to the side of the road if it doesn't know what's going on, or the safety driver hits the red button and takes over. So for Waymo, GM Cruise, how often do you think they have to hit the red button or they have to disengage? You know, how many miles can you go between disengagements? Any guesses out there? Current state of the art? Every 1,000 miles? Every couple of hundred? Yeah. Sorry? 200,000. Wow, that's good. Wow, that would be really good. I mean, the actual number actually surprises me. It's for Waymo and GM, it's once every 30,000 miles. That's amazing. And when somebody asks about Tesla again, yeah, I can get 2 miles on a Tesla before. I mean, not on the thruway. The thruway's fine, but just driving around Chautauqua or Mayville, yeah, Tesla's nowhere near there. So yeah, you know, they're good. It's pretty darn safe, and there have been some accidents, but it's usually these things are cautious. They actually follow the rules, and human-driven cars run into them, right? Because what do you mean you're stopping at the stop sign? You know, so they get plowed in from the back. Right. So what's next? Oh yeah. So I don't know. Any minds changed? You feel more comfortable with this stuff? Where are you? Yes. Yeah. Can it avoid rear end collisions? I don't know. I guess you want it to. You know, that's the question. When we had a speaker of somebody from these companies, and his answered all those questions. Do you want it to? We can make it do it. What do you want to have happen? Do you want to have it accelerate through the light? And right. Yeah, he's asking about the trolley dilemma that's been around a long time. So you have you have the handle to the switch And you can make the trolley car go that way and kill a grandma, or go that way and take out a kid. You know, which way do you throw the switch? So I guess that's a real thing. You know, the reality is hit the brakes and just pull over and wait for things to be safe. I think that's probably how you would do that. Yes, in the back. Yeah. Right. Sure. Yep, no, so he's asking about the cost of repairs. Again, my view is this isn't for private citizens to buy a robot car. I think these things should be in fleets, and the fleet operators are going to do the maintenance and the upkeep, and they're going to spend $50,000 for the automation kit, and they want to charge you $1 a mile to take these robot cars. So they won't be everywhere. They'll be in cities, suburbs. They can leak into rural areas, but you know, it comes back to level 4 versus level 5. I don't think they're going to be everywhere, and I think it's most efficient if they operate in fleets. Yep, in the back. Right, so he's asking about when will robot cars talk to the infrastructure, talk to other cars. In the academic circles, huge discussion. The academics absolutely love so-called vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to vehicle, because you can do all sorts of great research around that. My answer is not necessary. Robot cars can drive just like humans can. You don't talk to the infrastructure, you use your sensors, and you look and you perceive and you act accordingly, and that's all robots need. They can stop at red lights, they know where the line stripes are, they can stay in the lane, and it's much easier. And those Waymo and GM, they don't want to wait 20 years for the government to figure it all out, and it will take 20 years. And it's expensive stuff, right, to install that infrastructure, billions of dollars. Those companies aren't patient enough. They didn't wait. They want to go ahead without it. Yeah, in the back over there. All right. Yeah, good. There it is. Set up. Yeah. So what are we actually more likely to see self-driving stuff other than cars? And farm machinery has actually been going on for a long time. I don't know if anybody's a farmer here, but the John Deeres are out tooling around the farm fields with no driver, and that's been going on for a while. Don't have to worry about pedestrians, maybe an occasional groundhog. But long-haul trucks, again, a bit of a surprise. We probably won't touch on electric vehicles much, but you know, it gets political. The South, as a big rule of thumb, doesn't like electric vehicles. They actually are forming a consortium between Texas, Alabama, Mississippi to have a corridor where self-driving trucks are not only allowed, they're encouraged. And so coming to interstate near you, yeah? And it's an easy driving environment. No pedestrians, no bikes. Stay in the lane. All you got to do is sense the vehicle in front of you. Make sure you don't hit the vehicle in front of you. It's a much easier problem than others. Other questions in the back? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so he's asking about having more lights on the car in front of you so you can see. So now actually, even the level 1 technology, you have a radar in your bumper or sonar, and you know exactly how far in front of you the car in front of you is, and that's how the automatic braking works. Yeah. Sure. So that comes up often, and the university students always ask that. Oh yes, what about hacking? Can this stuff be hacked? I mean, even today's cars are occasionally hacked, but yeah, it's not my particular field. I suppose it can be hacked. Actually, that's one argument against having these cars talk to the infrastructure, because that would be a very common way of being hacked. As it is right now, these cars are pretty much self-contained, right? They're just relying on their own sensors. They're not talking to other cars, not talking to the traffic lights. So the odds of that happening actually in the current operating mode are very much minimized. They don't talk to a mothership to get directions. It's all self-contained. Yes, in the front. Yeah. Good question. So do you need dedicated lanes for robot cars, robot trucks? And you know, if you go to Google and see images, again, different researchers sort of have that as a concept. I actually think it's not necessary. These cars now know how to operate in the current environment, and they're happy to be in any lane. So, not necessary. Maybe it's convenient, except talk about public outcry. Those 2 lanes you have now on I-90, sorry, we're going to take one of them. Not going to go well. Yep. Yes. Yeah, great question about insurance liability. When I go to conferences for this stuff, you wouldn't believe how many lawyers and insurance companies attend these things. So the liability is going to shift, right? One of these robots get in an accident. Are you going to sue the guy that's sitting in the back seat? No, you're going to sue Waymo, right? So now a company like Waymo, Google, yeah, they're going to self-insure probably, but if you truly believe this stuff can be safer, then the whole liability total amount's going to drop. Fewer accidents, fewer, you know, I feel bad for Salino and Barnes up in Buffalo and those guys. Yeah, I mean, potentially those guys are out of business. Yep. Okay, is there enough materials? So most of those cars we saw are the cars being produced today. They're gas cars. We're probably not going to step into electric vehicles in this talk. That's more of a subject for electric vehicles. Where do the battery minerals come from? Big issue on electric vehicles. For self-driving vehicles, not, yeah, getting the LiDAR dome, no big deal. Yeah, all the other sensors, no big deal. It's computer chips, right? Even though we do have a global supply, so shortage of chips these days, but yeah, not a problem, more of a problem for electric vehicle batteries. Yep, yes.
Aren't these cars already safer for 100,000 miles, fewer accidents?
So aren't these cars already safer? So Elon Musk, again, happy to give you his opinion on anything. So he claims Teslas in autopilot are much safer than average cars driving down the road. And true, as Terry pointed out to me that's not apples and oranges, because Elon Musk's autopilot driving down the thruway, it's an easier driving environment, so of course he's going to be safer. But I actually happen to think, yeah, automatic emergency braking, lane drift, you name the safety features that Toyota, Subaru, Ford puts on the, I think they all help. The problem is we're adding these safety features, and then we more and more use these damn things for those out there. Yeah, it's a cell phone. So I think this cancels out all the safety features we're putting in cars. But no, they're not getting, the latest traffic accident statistics are worse. COVID is part of it. It sort of opened up the roads to the, I mean, we've all seen them, right? We're going down the thruway at, let's call it 70. And the guy goes by at 100 weaving in, and there's more of those crazies than there used to be.
So these are safer already?
yes, that the cars themselves are safer. The drivers probably worse because of cell phones, crazy behavior getting worse. Yeah, but the cars themselves definitely safer. Yeah, in the back. Wait. Okay. Okay. Sure. Yep. Okay, good question. What about other countries with this kind of technology? So I have a lot of students from India. They say, no damn way this is going to work in India. I don't know if anybody's driven India. We drove in Egypt, and no darn way this is going to work in Cairo. And they're right. It's a crazy environment, and it's probably going to happen here first in Europe, Germany, France, UK, Italy. What do you think, Richard? Yeah, it'll happen there first. India, I can't remember where you were. Thailand. Yeah, forget about Bangkok. Yeah, the environment's too crazy. Probably not. But it leaves a lot of the world to do this stuff. Yep. Oh yes, if you're online, put your question in the chat. We have not much time left, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so what, right. So another big debate, particularly in the urban planning department. So if you can have a self-driving car, everybody's gonna move to Olean and have 3-hour commutes, and so that's one scenario that will add to congestion. The other is this robot takes your kids to soccer practice, comes home empty, takes the mom to work, comes home empty, so all those empty miles are going to cause congestion. Again, I would probably refute the whole model of private ownership. I think these are going to be your equivalent of Uber and Lyft, is how these things are going to be used. But if the technology kit does come down to, instead of 50,000, comes down to 10,000, puts it in reach of private ownership, those could be real concerns, because these things can drive empty. Oh yeah. My Tesla changes lanes going down the thruway. Yeah, no problem. You got eyeballs all the way around you. Car in front of me is going too slow. Take a look off to your back left corner. Yeah, it's clear. Pull out. Go ahead. Yeah, no problem. That's an easy one. Right. Okay. Other questions? Yes, Bob. Yeah. Sure. So what is the intersection between these robot cars and electric vehicles? There can be an intersection, but it's not required. Actually, Google isn't into building electric vehicles. Amazon isn't. Ford and GM are. Yeah, they're betting on it. GM says by 10 years, 2035, they're only going to build electric vehicles. I'm skeptical. I think, I mean, they've already decided that, but they can always say, we changed our mind. Alabama doesn't want to buy electric vehicles. But states are mandating it. New York State, California, Massachusetts, the usual blue states, they all have laws. No more gas-powered cars by 2035. So it's going to be carrot and stick. What we didn't get to on electric vehicles, Yeah, gas is, or energy is definitely cheaper. The surprise to me has been maintenance. No more Jiffy Lubes, no more brake jobs, because the electric motor stops the car for you for the most part. That's the shock to me. The cost of owning an electric car is much less than a gas car. Yeah, blue shirt. Yep, self-driving buses, yes. Don't know why, but they happen, the leading company is in Turkey. They're trying to sell their buses in the U.S., but yes, you know, same deal. Stay in your lane, don't hit the car in front of you. Yeah, you know, basic rules, yeah. Yeah. Sure. In some cities, some of that happens, sure. There are dedicated bus lanes today, sure, but you don't need. Well-marked bus lanes, good. Yep. Yep. Bob, how are we doing on time? I don't know how late we're going. A few more minutes, yeah. Yeah, good question. Did they run on gasoline? Yeah, most of the ones we showed there, that video, both those videos were gas powered, and yeah, I guess that, you know, it's again, you're the software engineer. What do you want it to do? You don't want it to run out of gas? Okay, you can program that. You can say a quarter a tank, drive yourself to the base and fill up. Yes. Oh, right. That it does. Yes. Yep. Yeah. No. Having energy is a good idea. So yeah, that has to be pre-planned into the. I mean, you know, an Uber car tooling around a city in a day. You know, they average 20 miles an hour. Probably one tank will do it. So, yeah, I think that one's probably solvable to make sure you have enough gas. Yeah. Ah, right. Yeah, so I've been in transportation planning all my life. Most of it was in aviation. Yeah, 5 years ago, I started to do this at the University of Buffalo, and we have a self-driving vehicle around campus at UB, and what caught my attention was not, oh, this technology is so cool. It's those slides I showed on what can be the benefit to society. That's what tweaks me. If we can provide safe transportation for elderly people, for people that can't see, you name the disability, wow, what a game changer this is. And particularly low-income people. We don't see them every day. I mentioned being in Chautauqua. If you're making $20,000 a year, man, this gave you mobility that you've never had. That's what gets me excited. Yeah. Yep. It has an impact. That's why the so-called level 5. I'm not a big yeah. I don't think you want to do this in a blizzard. I mean, actually these robot cars know exactly where they are at all times. There are these high-definition maps where they have the technology to know exactly where they are, so technically they don't need lane markings. But I wouldn't do this in a blizzard. On the other hand, like a big rainstorm where I know my eyes at night, everything looks black, you know, in a rainstorm. That little bubble up on top with the lasers firing 360 degrees every, you know, half a second, they can see perfectly in rain and snow. So, yeah, some better. Yeah, Judy. Yeah, hang on. There was a question up front, then we'll go. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I think Judy's on this. Yeah, those are tough, right? Road construction, the flagman's out there. He's giving you hand signals. And even human to human, You know how it is, you're at a four-way stop and somebody gives you the hand signal. Once again, you know, we'll have our software engineer back. You could program it. This hand signal means go, but tricky stuff. I mean, let's admit it, right? And yeah, you know, the human brain can do it technically. I put that one in the box of it's still 1896 for this stuff. And, you know, the 1920 version of this is going to be a heck of a lot better, and it's going to dance circles in construction zones. Yeah. Yes, up front. Sure, they have been for, I think, a lot of European train. Well, the French subway, there's no drivers in there, right? And I think a lot of trains, because that's the easiest environment of all. There, you don't have to decide where the lanes are. You know, you need guys at the switches, but that's all computers now anyway, too. So, yeah, simple. That's the easiest environment there could be, a train. Yep, Bob. Yeah, so the Chautauqua environment, it'd be great to have these electric golf carts actually be Uber-based. You know, you get on your computer or you pull out an app, you know, ChautauquaDrive.com, and yeah, you know, where are you going from? I want to go to Bester Plaza, I live on Hearst. Yeah, bring it on. Robots driving in Chautauqua, tough. Yeah, all those. I'd say the level 5 thing, all times, all conditions, no robots on the road when the Boys and Girls Camp lets out. Yeah, that's dangerous for anybody, yeah, let alone robot cars. Yeah, in the back. Yep. You have the red button, yes. Yep, if we showed that video, look, yep, it's, you know, it's stop, pull over, I'm not comfortable, and it's programmed to just find the first place it can pull over, you know, let you get out. You can, in that case, talk to the mothership and say, I'm not comfortable, I want out, and it'll do that. Yep. Chandler, Arizona, you know, give it a run. Yeah. I was in Chandler, and I followed one of these. It went to stopped at a red light, first in line. Light turns green and it sits there. Oh, you know, wonky technology. Now, 2 cars blew through the red light, then it went. Yeah, so, yeah, that impressed me.
Thank you. How many of you know that Henry Ford and Thomas Edison sat in the garden at the Miller Cottage down at the park, and they talked about electric vehicles? And Edison was actually the prime inventor, and his people, of the lithium auto battery and the battery, and they had cars that looked like they were going to make gasoline not the way to do cars. People thought it smelled, it was noisy, and electricity was quiet and clean. And ultimately, Henry Ford, Edison's good friend, decided that nope, the combustion vehicle was just cheaper and more practical. He could make them cheaper, and so we didn't do electric. And I think at that time, batteries were the big problem, just like they are today. But no one guessed that the internal combustion engine was going to take off the way it did. So one of the beauties of life is we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Though I think Stephen's given us good prediction of the next 5 years. And so I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the great screen that Hurlbut has put up. That if you could even see it in the back, great. Right, next week, we're going to have a follow-on talk. We're going to talk next week about retiring. And does retiring mean you have to die? And do getting in cars mean you have to die? And one thing, I love the topic for next week, retiring and dying. The only thing is, I have some news for you. You're all going to die. But before you do, there's a basket in the back. If you could make a donation, it will keep us going for at least another week. See you next week. Thank you.